Have you ever felt like your brain just has a mind of its own? You have the best intentions, but somehow you end up doing the exact opposite? It really feels like we were all handed this incredibly powerful computer, our brain, but nobody ever gave us the user manual. Well, today, we're going to find that manual. So let me ask you a question, and be honest. When it comes to your own mind, your thoughts, your feelings, who's really driving the bus? Is it you, consciously at the wheel? Or is it some autopilot running on an old program you don't even remember installing? Because think about it. If you've ever found yourself mindlessly scrolling social media when you had a deadline, or just felt that wave of anxiety wash over you for seemingly no reason, you felt this autopilot take over. But here's the thing. These aren't personal failings. They're just glitches in the software. And that's what we're going to dive into right now. Okay, so let's get into the core idea behind all of this. It comes from something called Neuro-Linguistic Programming, or NLP. And the central idea is surprisingly simple, but it completely changes the game. It all starts with this. We don't actually live in the real world. We live in the world inside our head. Think about it like this. The world as it actually is, it's just pure chaos. It's an infinite flood of information, sights, sounds, feelings. It's way too much for anyone to handle. So what you and I actually experience is our model of the world. A simplified, filtered, and totally personal version of reality. You don't react to what happens out there, you react to your internal map of what happened. So how on earth does your brain manage this insane amount of data? Well, it basically acts like a bouncer at the door of your consciousness. It's constantly deciding what gets in and what stays out. And it does this using a set of automatic filters that are running 24/7, completely behind the scenes. And here's the crucial takeaway. Your emotional reactions, your happiness, your stress, your motivation, they aren't actually caused by events in the outside world. They're caused by your internal model of those events. This is exactly why two people can go through the very same experience and have completely different reactions. It's because they're running different internal software. So how does the brain build this model? The first filter is something we all do, generalization. This is basically a mental shortcut. You touch a hot stove once, you get burned, and your brain generalizes that all hot stoves are dangerous. It's an efficiency strategy, right? Super useful for survival, but it can also create some really limiting beliefs if we're not careful. The second filter is deletion. Your brain is constantly ignoring things to save energy. For example, right now, you're probably not paying any attention to the feeling of your feet on the floor or the hum of the room around you. At least you weren't until I just mentioned it. Your brain just deletes what it thinks is unimportant so you can focus. And the third filter is distortion. This is where your mind takes an experience and, well, it twists it. It changes it from what it actually is. Anytime you worry about the future, you're distorting reality by playing a negative movie in your head that hasn't happened. And on the flip side, when you remember a great memory as being even better than it was, that's distortion too. Now here's the kicker. These filters, generalization, deletion, and distortion, they form your autopilot. And that software was largely programmed back in childhood. It's running on the wisdom and experience of a 5-year-old you. So what if you could finally get your hands on that source code? What if you could consciously update that program right now? This is where things get really, really powerful. Because once you get that you're living in a model, you realize you can start editing that model. You can finally get access to the dials and the knobs of your own mind. Now, this might sound like a huge, impossible claim, but it's absolutely true. You have the ability to change the emotional charge of your past experiences. You can't change what happened, of course, but you can 100% change how you store that memory inside you. And the tool for this is surprisingly simple. They're called submodalities. And the easiest way to think about them is like the settings on your internal TV screen. Every single thought, every memory has these qualities. Is the mental picture bright or is it dim? Is it in color or is it black and white? Is there a voice? Is it loud or quiet? These are the dials that literally control the emotional intensity. And this is incredibly practical. I mean, just think of a painful memory. When you bring it to mind, it's probably big, bright, close up, and in vivid color, right? The sounds are probably loud. Now, what if you could just grab those mental dials and turn them down? What if you made the picture small, pushed it far, far away into the distance, drained all the color out of it, made it black and white, and turned the volume down to a barely audible whisper? The memory itself doesn't change, but its emotional power over you just dissolves. You've just taken manual control. So that's how we can edit our past. But what about creating our future? Is there a way to actually structure our thinking to solve any problem and come up with brilliant ideas? You bet there is. And for this, we're going to borrow a strategy from one of the most creative minds of the 20th century. a strategy that's still being used today by one of the most innovative companies on the entire planet, a little company started by Walt Disney. The Disney creativity strategy is just a masterclass in organized thinking. You adopt 3 totally distinct roles, but, and this is key, one at a time. First, you're the dreamer. No limits, no criticism allowed. You just ask why and what if, and let the wildest ideas flow. Then you switch hats. You become the realist. The realist doesn't judge the dream. Their only job is to figure out how to make it happen. What are the actual steps? Finally, you become the critic. Now, the critic's job isn't to kill the idea. It's to make it stronger by asking what could go wrong here and how can we make this even better. By keeping these roles separate, you stop the critic from stomping all over the dream before it even has a chance to breathe. This brings us to one final, and maybe the most important idea of all. We've talked about editing our past and structuring our future, but what about that constant feeling of being at war with yourself? You know, that internal civil war that just drains all our energy. You know exactly what I'm talking about. One part of you wants to be healthy and get up early to work out, but another part desperately wants to hit the snooze button and stay in your warm, comfy bed. One part wants to save money for the future. Another part sees something shiny online and just has to have it now. It feels like we're being pulled in 2 opposite directions. Our usual reaction is to fight the bad part, right? To force ourselves to do the right thing. But NLP offers this really radical reframe. It asks a simple, powerful question. What is the positive intention behind each one of those behaviors? So, that part of you that procrastinates, maybe its positive intention is to protect you from the stress of potential failure. The part that wants to hit snooze, maybe its positive intention is to make sure you get enough rest to stay healthy. From this perspective, every part of you is trying to help, even if its strategy is a little clumsy or outdated. And that leaves us with this final thought to wrap it all up. When you truly get this, you stop fighting with yourself. You realize there is no such thing as an inner enemy. They're only misguided inner friends, all trying their best, all with positive intentions, just running on old software. And the question isn't, how do I defeat them? The real question is, how do I understand their purpose, update their strategies, and get my entire inner team working together? That is the user manual you never got. The only question left is, now that you have it, what are you going to do with it?